This is Wekesa
Hi,
Olatunji Madzimoyo. Is this Joy?
it sure is.
Hello, Joy. Hello, how are you?
Hi, how are you today?
I am excellent today. I am on
That's
fire.
good.
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh, yeah.
that's a good thing.
I got to be right now. Yes, sirree. All righty. Let's me put a little music playing while we are waiting for folks to come on into place here.
Okay.
Doom, 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 boom, 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 boom. I take it your ride home was safe and uneventful.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
It was. To
Love
my
that.
surprise, I drove the whole 9 hours
Look at
back.
you. Look at you. Oh, oh, the world gonna come to an end. She's changing everything. Oh Lord, look out.
Yeah, I had a little energy. You all gave me a little energy, so I was able to go 9 hours straight.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I really loved your what you sent back to us. You know about people stopping you and asking you that next day. Um, I actually was back there. I was meeting with Mama Kaya as we are
Mm-hmm.
planning some other things, and
Mm-hmm.
so I started to come up, but we actually went longer, and it was actually very good
Mm-hmm.
because she's going to be a advocate for the family law project more. And
Oh,
I need
good.
someone who can take on the role of who's not instructing or administrating, can be an
Mm-hmm.
ambassador for that, getting it further out. Welcome.
Mm.
There she is, talking about you. Uh-oh, who's that big, beautiful baby right there? Who's that? That's your baby?
Grandson,
Oh, I'm finna say, girl, you
grandson Dakari,
okay.
Oh.
What's Kari?
Dakari.
Dakari. All right, what's up, Samir? Boom. Yeah, I got it. Dakari. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. um,
Hi, Kaya. This is Joy.
Hi, Mama Joy. How are you, dear?
I'm all right. You got back safely. That's good.
I did, and
I
you
know
as
who that.
well.
That's Mama Joy Davis.
Yes.
Oh, you recognize my
that's right.
Yeah, I
voice?
recognize
Hi,
her from the
Samir.
conference.
Excellent. Well, you have a good memory. You have a good, strong memory.
Yeah, I remember when I was all the way when I wasn't even born yet.
Well, now
Wow.
that's a master memory right there. uh, welcome, Baba Sababu. How you doing? All right, everybody.
I'm going to get out some paper. We may need to have to take notes.
Yeah, I encourage everybody to get out what you can get out because we got, if y'all saw that agenda that I sent out, we got lots of stuff to do. Boom, 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 doo, doo, doo. And Kai, when we get finished, I will upload the right book. I'm sorry about that. Um, yep. Um, let's see here. Let's see here.
I was just so pleased with how Atlanta took and how everything happened for Atlanta. I'm just ready to take the kids just on the road. Like we gonna go somewhere every month.
All
I'm
right.
ready to take them everywhere.
Well, let's try every other month.
Everyone, I know the excitement brings exaggeration, but
No, I understand it all too. That's inspiration. I think it's fantastic, and I really am appreciative of your not only your excitement, but your delivery. Really am. We really am, and I want you to, hear that from our parents this evening. All righty, 8. Who else came in this house? Saw somebody looked like they came in. All righty. All right, it's just 8:02, so I'm a little hyper, so let me chill and put on some music.
Babu's having some computer trouble in and out, so
Okay.
Stable.
All right, I got it. All right, so I'm going to put a little music on to give us a minute, and some folks a minute to get on in here. Did everybody get the notifications well of this meeting? So you should have gotten a couple of different ways. It should have come at you. All right.
Let me say, though, I don't think Sababu is on the email. He doesn't. I have to forward them to him.
Okay, so let me make sure we get that address straightened about that. Well, what's up, Laura?
Hey, Wekesa, how are you?
Oh, I am fine. I'm fine. I'm better when I see these beautiful African faces come in the room. Just makes my evening. Mama Etana.
Greetings, blessings, everyone.
Greetings.
Hello.
Evening.
Hello, Mama Etana.
Hello, who am I speaking to?
Oh, Mama Kaya.
Oh, there you are. Oh, Makaya. Hi. How are you?
I'm doing well. It's so great to meet you.
Good. You made it back safe, I see.
Yeah.
Good. It was nice to meet you.
You as well.
I enjoyed meeting you too, Mama Etna. This is Joy.
Oh, hello, Mama Joy. Blessings.
Hello. You too. Blessings.
Hey, well, what's up, Ajeku? Did I pronounce that right? Baba Ajeku? He must have not be hearing me. All right, Mama Laura, did I pronounce that correctly?
Yeah, you got it.
Okay. What I want him to, I think he's frozen, is to just change his name so we can start calling him by the African name, unless he's preferred Emmanuel.
Oh no, he does prefer Jaku.
There you go. So he can just right click on it and change his name to, Baba Ajeku. And where's your African name, Laura? Are you so enamored with these Europeans that you got to keep one? You can't even take one. Come on now. Hey, what can I say? There was
I have an African name.
Well, what is it?
It's Adina.
Adina.
Adina, born on Wednesday.
Yeah, Adina. Okay.
From ABENA.
That's born on.
As come on, Baba Jacob. Are you sure it's Abana, right? Not Adana.
Yeah, ABENA.
Yes, and
from Ghana.
Yes, right. And Ajeku is telling you this born on. Come on, Ajeku, born on what?
Born on Tuesday. Tuesday, Nada. So that's Abena. There will be a Kua.
Yeah, you are absolutely right. Lord have mercy. Thank you for correcting me. It is. I misremembered. But I was in Ghana for about 8 months, and that's when I learned.
Okay, wow. So that's Abana, and
yeah.
All right, Mama Abana. All right. Okay, Laura. Now I know you live with this man, so you got to at least have a play African name.
There we go.
Huh? Okay. All right, Mama Santua. Mop. That's right. This is a safe space to be African. Going to work may be a problem, but this is a safe space to be African. All right. All right. So I'm going to practice, with y'all permission, calling you by those names. Is that okay? Do I have that permission?
Absolutely.
Because we definitely would not impose anything. All right. You're the arbiter. All right, we're 8:06. All right, come on in the house. Mama Soleil. Welcome. Mama Soleil. Is Soleil
Greetings.
is Soleil an African name?
No, it is not.
Well, it's not a
my
requirement. You don't have to have an
no,
African name.
my legal name though that changed to Aja is so. Soleil was still my stage name, so it's just a name that I still
Okay.
use.
Okay. So
Yeah,
Soleil is your stage name. And what was the
yeah.
other African name that you had?
Aja,
Aja.
Aja.
Spell it.
AJA.
AJA.
No, I just spelled it twice because I thought I had muted myself, so I
Okay.
unmuted.
Okay. So AJA is it? Aja?
That's it.
And where is it from? And what does it mean?
I'm sorry. Hold on.
Where is it from and what does it mean? Where
Uh-oh.
is
Can you hear me? I'm sorry. My phone keeps cutting in and out because I don't have a good signal.
all right,
That's why
well
I'm late popping on.
we'll do what we can. Where is it from and what does it mean?
So Aja is one of the Orisha of the forest. So I got that name because of my work as an herbalist. And so among the Yoruba people, she was a lesser known Orisha or patron of the forest
All right.
and dealt with the animals and the herbs.
All right. Well, excellent. Well, we've been practicing for those people who want to use this as a safe space to be African to practice. So Laura has put on Mama Asantua, her African name. Baba Emmanuel is changing his to a Jacob. Huh?
He's still Emmanuel. Look.
I know. I don't know why. He's correcting everybody else. What's up, bro?
I'm having a bit of a technological challenge
Okay,
here.
no problem. You're on your phone or a tablet, right? That makes it difficult. All right. Okay. So it is certainly not required. And one of the things that we do on our WHB weekends is we invite people to try on for the weekend their African names or being called by them, just because we want to make a distinction. This is a safe place to be African, and that is by no means a requirement at all or any pressure. It's just an invitation. Well, it is 8:09. I will wait one more minute at 8:10 because we gotta move it up. I ain't waiting 8:15. We got too much to cover. Everybody, do you have the agenda in front of you?
Yes.
All right. Let's see if you want to add anything to the agenda. This is the time to do it. All right, as you see, it's ambitious. But what else am I if not ambitious? What else are we as a people if not ambitious? Given our state, we better be ambitious. All right, I've hit the 8:10 mark. First up on the agenda is a report. Even though the second and the fourth Monday is going to be dedicated to our Cuba trip, we're going to take 10 minutes on the front of every Monday that we're together to give an update on that. And given that our first presentation by our students was done and in the bag, we're ready now to put the pedal to the metal for our a trip to Cuba. A couple of updates. Mama, come on, brain. Joy, wait a minute. That's not her name. That's not Mama Abena. Okay.
Abena, born on Tuesday, not Wednesday.
Okay, Mama Abena she sent in the registration and the registration fee in order to hold so that that our program, because the 15th was the day that had to be in order for our program, the workshop to stay on the program. So she did that. We appreciate her for that. And in order for the students' names to be in the program, we're going to have to get the registration in. And at this point, there's no guarantee, but we'd have to register them anyway. And I think there's a good chance that we could do that. So we need to be clear about which students are going to present, which students are going to Cuba to present. This time at the National Council for Black Studies, we had Samad presenting. I think Mama Kaya, Samad is going to Cuba, correct? All right. So he's going to Cuba, and therefore Mama Abena will be available. We also had Ndaye. I do not know her mother's status about whether or not she is going or not. Welcome. I'm so glad that you are there, Mama Gordon. Okay. Mama Carol Gordon and with her son Malcolm, who's with us. Okay, so we're not sure about that. The third person to present was Ikechi. So Mama Etna, have you decided yes or no of Ikechi's going to Cuba?
That's still undecided right now.
Okay. All right. So what we're going to really need to get pretty quickly is at least the students who are going, who will be a part of the presentation team, and then we still have some room for others. So far.
And so what are the dates? What are the dates, Baba Wekesa?
June 4th through the 8th. The conference is June 4th through the 8th. Last time we established our arriving on the 3rd and leaving on the 9th.
Okay, thank you.
All right, we already have a GoFundMe page up. We're going to push that out to you and to others. Right now, there are 3 fundraisers. The first fundraiser is private contributions. We send letters. We're shaping out letters that you can send to your friends, families, organizations, businesses that can write a check, so that for whatever. Some others will prefer a GoFundMe, and some people can do that in smaller increments. Because the people we're wanting to make personal ones, I mean, they can. Some of them will want to do a GoFundMe. Others may want to do it on a company check or anything like that. And the amounts may be $500 at a time, $200, or if you know somebody who will drop $1,000 at a time, that's fine. Our goal is $15,000. Okay. Now, third project. So we got 2 ways to raise money so far. One will be the GoFundMe page. 2 will be personal letters to organizations, businesses, friends, and others, and they will be able to either write a check and become sponsors and co-sponsors, and or they will they can go to the GoFundMe page. That GoFundMe page, of course, will be allowed for a lot of social media, a lot of click, and quick do it. The other is a photography project. Okay, and this photography project allows also everybody in the school to participate in the fundraiser by directing people to commission a select group of students who will be going there and under the direction of our photographer, resident photographer, Brother Tafari. People will be purchasing 20 by 30 or 20 by 24 prints for their homes and their offices and that kind of thing. So these are museum quality printing, not your Walmart variety 20 by 30s. So archival printing, archival paper. And right now we're getting all of the money in terms of how much that's going to cost and all that. The pictures will also have basic framing. People will be able to choose a high level of framing if they want to. But right now we're the price temporarily or tentatively is $300, and if we got to get a certain number of people to commission the photographers, and that will pay for either the purchasing or rental of their equipment. Because for doing this, they cannot use their telephone, their cell phone. Okay, these prints will be blown up by 20 by 30, and we don't want no grainy stuff and all of that. So they will, we will either rent or have cameras that we purchase for the school that they can use. And this to me will add to their experience. Now, not all students will be a part of the photography team, although all students who go, when they are on a photograph event, other students can come and can take pictures with their phones and anything else. It's just that they are not the ones who are responsible for making the pictures to satisfy the commission. Do y'all understand? Does everybody understand that? Okay. So
Yes.
all right. And this is not something that is untested. I use this program. I created it and used it for 4 Nation and Photography and Research Tour of East Africa, including Egypt, Kenya, Tanzania, and Zimbabwe for 6 weeks. People commissioned me, and I bought them back prints with the satisfaction guarantee. And those prints are still all over the country. In addition to that, when students come back, they will put on shows of their work. So Samad, if he's one of the photographers, can host a show or find a venue where he shows the work, the photography, and people can buy other smaller versions of those photographs. All right, so those are the 3 ways. We're hammering that out right now in terms of the text of it, but I want you to know about it. We're open for other ways to do so as well. One way that some contributions will be directed toward it. We're running up on our 2nd annual Mother's Day bike ride. Okay, we want people to ride, and also it's a fundraiser. It's a historic fundraiser for Aya, but we'll earmark some of it for our Cuba trip. And that is, they put $1 on old knees or $1 on per mile on people. Okay, so we get riders. The riders get folks who will commit to send in a donation for $1 a mile, $2 a mile, $5 a mile, 50 cents a mile. And last year we had four people who made the whole 100 miles. We had some who made 80, some who made 75, some who made 22, their personal best. So it's on Mother's Day. It's in honor of African mothers, and it also is a fundraiser for Aya and a celebration of our 20th year. Aya in this form, in terms of our school, 1998. So 2018, the year we are in, is 20 years in, y'all.
That's excellent.
Okay. And we ain't no ways tired. In fact, we just got going good. Okay. I assume most of you are having your video off to save your bandwidth, and that makes sense if you need that. All right. I'm pretty well. We had just one other report in terms of the Cuba trip. A sister who was to be helping us with transportation and airfare from different places, et cetera, was all excited, and she still is excited, but she's in the hospital. So we're wishing her well. She did not know or attend to that some of the cost or risk of taking birth control was blood clots. So she was rushed to the hospital with blood clots. And had she not gotten there, according to them, she would have died. And so she posted that, although she doesn't normally do it, to warn other sisters about the hazards of birth control and those side effects that they try to put down in itsy witsy beanie ain'tsy kind of print. So we're back to the drawing board with that. We have identified a museum so far as a brother who's a conscious brother who runs a museum, would love for us to go by there. And so we're going to keep on pushing stuff up. Please, you do the same. Use your network. Tell folks we're going to Cuba, et cetera, et cetera. And we want to both mine them for contacts and numbers. We plan to stay with families so that we're not paying $800 for the trip. We plan to stay with different families, and so using your network for that. If you have any, we're not about to be running out. We and it's really great. So that's all I have. Any questions or comments about? Oh yes, no, I don't. I gotta. If you're planning to go, if you think you're going to go, if you want to go, whether it pans out or not for you, please, passports and visas. Mama Santua, all right, start getting passports and visas. Okay. Mama Carol Gordon, if you want Malcolm to go to Cuba with us, if you want to come, passports and visas. I think everybody else know. Let's begin to do that process. Engage them, involve them as much as possible. And when I said that to somebody, they said, "You mean like a credit card?" I'm like, not quite. Okay, but how would they know? That's the visa they've heard about. Is that Asia? What's up, Mama Asia? Question that came earlier that I need you to respond to is: do you intend for Yeye to go to Cuba?
We will help with the fundraising efforts. I don't think that we're going to be able to go. As I shared, we are planning a trip to Nigeria this year. So
I don't blame you. Nigeria over Cuba. What can we say? All right. So is that a matter of? Is it a matter of money, or is it a matter of energy and time and all of that?
All of that. Money, energy, time. I got to get off of work 2 times. It's just.
Well, who said you had to go?
Huh?
Huh? Huh? What do you mean, huh? Who said you had to go? You got all these chaperones, you got whatever?
I'll watch over her, Mama.
And honestly, Baba Wekesa, I'm the one that want to go, and Diane's not necessarily the one to go.
I understand. I got you. And so you take it off 2 times to work, get a problem. I got you. We understand. All right. So so that means we will not be able to count on her, Mama Asante, no, excuse me, Mama Abuna, who you know, Mama Asia, as Mama Joy. I mean, Mama Davis. Her African name is Abuna. So we're going. So that means we gotta get some support for Samad. We don't know about Ikechi, and we do know that Ndai won't be going as of right now. All right.
I had a question about visas, Baba Wekesa.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I looked online, and from what I hear, to go to Cuba, you have to have a distinct purpose, and you have to prove what that purpose is. It can't be, oh, I just want to go to Cuba just to see it. That's my understanding. And maybe, Mama Kaya, maybe you have more information. But, I mean, if that's the case, if we have to prove what our purpose is before we even get a visa, doesn't that kind of make it?
No, that shouldn't be difficult. That shouldn't be difficult. We're on an educational trip, and we have enough contacts there who will say yes. Whether we have some who will be presenting at the conference. Welcome, Baba, Sabri. We have some people who are coming to present at the conference. Okay, we have others who are on a photography trip. We have others that is an educational photography trip, all right? And basically we just have to have someone who will receive us. The other is we'll have some people who will receive us from the medical school. You remember I told you that we want to do that. So our job will be to get letters from them indicating that we want to do that. I think we will be able to do that without a problem. Mama Kaya?
I read that. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I heard or I read that in addition to having a purpose, you have to know exactly where you're staying for lodging, and I don't know that information yet, and I'm wondering what should we do regarding that?
Well, if you heard me
If they won't
earlier,
let
we said we were identifying people where we were going to stay. Now, of course,
Mhm.
you already have the registration for those who want to stay in the hotel, and you also have for if you want to have staying with people through the registration on the site, you can do that. We're going to try to find people who have another kind of conscious bent, people who are that we're indirectly connected to. I don't have any direct connections who in Cuba. I have some indirect ones, and so we suspect within 30 days of today, all of us will know where we're going to be staying.
Okay, that's good.
Okay, and we also, because of this conference connected to the hotel, that's also an option in terms of where we'll be staying. Now, it's not unusual. Those two things that you talked about are standard.
Mm-hmm.
You
Baba
understand?
Wekesa.
Yes.
I was gonna say that that I've gotten visas for different countries before, and as long as the hotel that is being, even if you haven't booked your room yet, you can still use that
Right.
hotel if you like are worried about it and want to apply for your visa now because of how much time it takes. I don't know how long it takes for Cuba. But you can just put the hotel even if you haven't booked your room yet because that's where you plan on staying. People's plans change. So as long as you have a contact and you have that information about the event and the hotel, that's fine to put on there even if you haven't booked the room.
Okay.
And even if you don't necessarily plan on staying there and you plan on staying somewhere else, that can change, but you can still put that down for the visa.
Very good. That's what I love. That's the beauty of power of community and people who have different experiences. We all can help each other. Come on, Mama Kaya. I saw your hands up. You got something to say.
Yeah, I'll just add that I feel so much more confident going to Cuba under these circumstances because when I went last year, I had none of this. We actually went to celebrate my girlfriend's birthday. So, I mean, we made up our own itinerary. We behaved like we were going on all of these different educational excursions. However, I mean, we have a true educational destination now, and I feel so much more confident about I just have no worries in the world now. I was really stressed out last summer, like, oh my God, am I ever gonna make it back home? But and two, we stayed at a they call them casa particulars, like Airbnb.
Mm-hmm.
And we were there for about a week, and per person it was maybe less than $200.
Mm-hmm.
So I will just be checking up on those resources and extend that information as I get it.
Very good. Let's do that. So, all right, everybody. This is just an addition to the agenda. We're going to be meeting our next Monday. That is the second and the fourth Mondays are dedicated completely to Cuba trip and moving it forward. Yes, Malcolm. Hello.
Hi, Baba Wekesa. So what we were talking about, you mentioned about Malcolm going. I'm like, oh, Malcolm could go too, because he had just told me minutes cannot go.
No, we're having some middle school students are going. Mama Kaya, excuse me, Mama Ma'at now is going to be going, and we have some senior high school students who are going to be making presentations at the conference. Their teacher, Mama Abana, who also is known as Mama Davis, has prepared them to make presentations and been accepted to present at the Cuban Studies Association in Cuba, the International Cuban Studies Association. So, but the other students are going to be going both to support them and also as an educational trip. I think it's great for some middle school students to go so that they also see what's in store for them. They see how the students are received. They see the presentation. And one other thing that's important to me in terms of going to have them see the medical students from all around the world go to Cuba for free education. And then those students, 2 of them I know personally, are doing their residency, are finishing their residency for MDs here in this country. And what we really want to do is expand our children's sense of where you can get a good education. Many people do not believe that if you're not getting an education at a university in the United States, that it's not a good education. And we don't ask questions about going to school in Senegal, the University of Senegal, the University of Tanzania, and other places in Africa or Europe or in the diaspora. And hopefully these students will begin to see students from around the world who go to Cuba for an education, a free education to become medical doctors. And think about that. Even if it weren't that they would be accepted to their residency, imagine having community health practitioners who have the training of an MD in our community organizations. Okay, it's a tremendous thing for them to do. Yes, Malcolm.
Doesn't my grandma have to go with me?
Does your grandma have to go with you? Well, if she wants to go with you, yes, we'd love for her to go with you. All right. Oh, absolutely. Please do come.
Now, where do we depart from for those of us who are not in Atlanta?
Oh, well, see, just guess what, Mama Carol, Mama Ma'at, also known as Mama Kaya, is in New Jersey. Okay. Mama Abena on the phone is in St. Louis. That is, there are only 3 people, no, I guess 4 on this call are from Atlanta. Everybody else is other places. We have 2 people from Santa Cruz. So we're going to figure out the best place to depart from and the best prices. And this is what this person who's now in the hospital was working on for us. So we'll get somebody to replace her so that she can do well and get well. So we'll have to work on that. Where would you depart from? I'm sure you'd fly out of New York and then we'll figure out. We can start going online and figuring out the main thing right now is, do you want to go? If you want to go, we believe we can collectively make it happen so that whoever wants to go can go. So we got affirmative that you and Malcolm want to go to Cuba with the school, right?
Yes.
I'm waiting for you. I'm waiting for your grandmother, son.
I would love to, but I don't know just yet.
All right, I got it. We'll take that, as I want to, and that's good enough for right now. All right, everybody. If we can turn a corner, first, thank you. Now the corner we're gonna turn connected to that. I want us to give a big ups to Mama Abena, also known as Mama Davis. First, and then our parents and students second. This past weekend, starting Thursday, our students went to the National Council for Black Studies, and they presented alongside the 2 other presenters were PhD presenters, one from Morehouse and the other from San
Diego?
Yeah, San Diego, University of San Diego, or University of California, San Diego, I'm not sure. Very powerful presentations, and there stood along it. I have to tell you that they were not tagging along. Mama Abena, Mama Davis, introduced them, told the people that they would make the presentation. She would be available also for questions. So she did not say a word after introducing them. Okay, they did the whole presentation themselves, and they did a fantastic job. Okay, and she was available to answer questions, and actually, most of the questions were directed to the students. So we want to, everybody, would y'all big her up for her foresight, for her work to make that happen.
Thank you. I'm so proud of them.
Well, see, I know, but right now I want you to be quiet and take this in, because I know you'll be so proud of them. I know, and I'll give you opportunity to say that, but I want to, Mama Asia, what can you say to Mama Davis, even if you said it before, or Mama Abena, as a way to show her or express your appreciation for what she did?
As I shared with her at the conference, that I was just very glad that she was able to guide them in this in the class and steer them towards this conference where they did get the experience of presenting in a educational professional setting. And I think it was very good for the students in there getting exposure to that type of environment. I'm just very appreciative of the opportunity that they had this weekend.
Awesome. Thank you, Mama Asia.
We're not finished yet. We're not finished yet.
I would like to echo that.
Come on, Mama Kaya, Mama Mott.
I would like to echo that. I've said this to Mama. Is it Abena?
Yes.
Yeah.
Abena. So grateful for her vision and her energy, and her willingness to extend our children in a way that they wouldn't have been stretched, or wouldn't have had this opportunity at this age. And it just only builds their confidence, and it gives them more options and more skills. So I am so gracious and humbled by her, just her forethought and her energy to share her world with our students in her profession, and also in the world of academia. And thank you, Mama Abena.
Thank you, Mama Kaya.
Thank you. And this is Mama Etana, and I agree 200% with what has already been said, and even more. I thank you, Mama Abena, for even in the midst of what you seem to feel was inadequacies of the admin at the Black Studies with regards to names and the program and everything. You brought professionalism. You dotted your I's, crossed your T's, so that nobody could feel either way about any changes that may have been made or things that didn't go smoothly. It went smoothly. It went beautiful. And thank you for, like it's already been said, for allowing our children to be exposed to that level of presentation, and that they can take with them for the rest of their lives. And just thank you for your strength, and thank you for your poise. I give thanks.
Thank you so much, Mama Etana.
All righty, Mama Joe, it's your time now. While we look at your picture, everybody should be, are you seeing the pictures of the A-team?
Oh, okay. Oh, you're showing the picture. Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm just so happy. Just so proud of the kids. I told them. I don't know nothing else, you all. I'm used to teaching grown folks. I'm used to teaching people the age of everyone on this call. I'm not used to teaching anyone under the age of 25, really. So I told them, you know what, I'm just going to be me, I'm going to do me, and I'm basically going to teach you all like your little graduate students. So if I move too fast, just tell me, but I'm going to give you what I give them. And I mean, they just delivered totally. I mean, and it was just such a beautiful feeling to have people come up to me, not just that day, But even the day after, people were coming up to me saying, "Oh my gosh, your high school students were so awesome. Your high school students present themselves better than my college students," you know? And I mean, just to hear that, I'm just so happy, you know, excited for the students and excited about how they also were able to pivot and present excellence even when things were different. You know, they thought and I thought we were going to have a PowerPoint projector.
Yes.
It didn't work out for some reason, but they jammed. Even though the situation was different than what was expected, I was like, all right, y'all, we're just going to have to make it work. And they just jammed. And I'm proud of the parents. You guys, when I was on the road and I couldn't practice with the kids, it's you all who got the kids together and practiced with them. And that was an awesome help. So I want to thank you all for helping me prepare the students. And I agree. I think they're going to always remember it.
Very good. And this picture that you see is reflected. This is the power behind the students. Okay. Mama Kaya, Mama Ma'at, Mama Asia, Mama Etna, and of course, Mama Abana and Mama Davis. The power behind the students. I'm going to just run through a few of these photographs. All right, this is up close. A beautiful picture of Yeye and Mama Davis, Mama Abana. All right, Saman, you know, somebody says Samar's going, when the students saw this, like Samar's going, you know, for a job or something.
Well, that's good. What I told them. I told them to dress like you're going on a job interview. But I did specify, I said, it's your choice. If you have something professional that's Western, or if it's professional and African, whether it's African or Western, as long as it's professional, I said we need to represent as we're going on a job interview.
There you go.
Samad was just following my
it represented all of them were. It was just beautiful. And let's keep on going to see the next one. All right, so this is Mama Abana introducing the students. Again, no PowerPoint presentation. I mean, you see that window, it was all across the left side of the room, and there was nothing to block it and no place to put a PowerPoint presentation. And they rolled with the punches very powerfully. Let's go to the next one. All right. So again, there she is explaining it and getting it set up. And then once she did, then they took off from there. Ikechi did an excellent job. He memorized his whole piece, but he did not say it as if it was some rote. It just came and flowed from him naturally. And this is Professor Alkebulan, who was next to Mama Davis on the panel there. The students were on the front row and they stood up when it was time. They took very good notes, and we talked about his presentation. His was very impactful to them there. And again, that they get to meet and see professors present their work is just great. All right, again, this is the booklet, the National Council for Black Studies, and the date. And you see our scholars there. And again, the 18+1. I'm very appreciative of that, and the power behind the students again right there. And I guess my favorite is this one where we're looking up and that A team is looking down with all that beautiful and all that power right there. So y'all were wondering while I was bending down and getting up. Well, you got it. All right. Again, thank y'all so much. And again, this is what will be duplicated in Cuba. Okay, this is why this is important for us to get this down. We'll be able to use some of these photographs. I'll make sure that we have them up on the website so that people who are we're asking to contribute can know that these are the kinds of students who we are pushing forward to go international. This was a national conference, and now we're going international. All right. So thank you so much, and let's just big everybody up for that. All right, if we can turn a corner, do I need a breathe? Anybody want to say anything as a way of a transition? Because I'm trying to make it through this agenda. All right, I'll take that. I'll take that. Very good work. Very, very good work. Now, this is provides a transition to the Family Lore Project because their presentation was about the Family Lore Project. Okay, the second volume or the edited version of the present publication is what is going to be. I'm going to point you to some things so that you begin to get. We're transitioning into WHB, Warrior Healer Builder, and how that gets manifested in the curriculum. What you're also seeing is our students go out nationally and internationally, how that gets put out into our community to, in fact, create models or promote models of change. Because while our students and we work in our school so that we make changes outside of our school. And, you know, if you're a new parent, you'll see that over and over and over again. So let's first, let me pull that up. So again, just so that you know, the transition, if you're taking notes, is to the Family Lore Project, and what Warrior Healer Builder is based on that. Now, you will see some purple and those kinds of things as we are in the final edits of this section. And this is the section that will be added. I'm not sharing my screen, so let me do that. All right. Now, for those of you who need to, that's 19. Let me go up to the front. And of course, this is the publication we set when we're done, Families in Dialogue with the Past and the Future. The title comes from the quote, "Persistence of our culture is persistence of the sun. We rise when we're born and we set when we're done. Earth's circular path is our destination." And this comes out of our history and out of our culture. And so for Families in Dialogue with the Past and the Future is representative of that circle. And these are the authors, student authors from last time. The next full publication of this will be next year, though we'll have some online publications from student work this year, and then we'll print another book of theirs next year. So this is what we're adding to this piece. But these are what the pages look like. Again, these are the student authors, the various dedication, acknowledgement, the various tables of contents, and you'll see this section, the call and response section, is a section that's added. This is the section we're going to be focusing on a little tonight because it's important that you understand the Warrior Healer Builder components that are in it, how we carry it through, and also you understand the impact then of what their students will be doing nationally. You also will be able to support them. This is not just a cute kind of project that's nice and cute. It's very deep, and that's what I want to expose you to here. So let me go on to this section. Well, I'll also highlight some parts. All right. Can everybody see this purple? Do I need to zoom in my screen? Is that better?
Yes, we can see it.
All right, great. If it's true that the destruction of a people begin in its homes, then the restoration of a people can begin in its homes. Our Educational Institute's Family Lore Project makes an essential contribution to the restoration of our people, starting with the students, family lines, and their family homes. So this will go on the new back cover. And let me just, I'll highlight here, building a repository of stories and wisdom that we can pull on in battles to come. This is really important imagine for those students who have copies of this, imagine what they'll be able to pass on to their children. If they have 2 and 3 of these published before they graduate from high school, and the repository of stories that they are gaining, and they gain them, y'all, by asking. This is what an institution should do. One of the questions that was given to Ikechi that he handled very well. Although when we had dinner, he said, I don't even know what I said. He was scared, but he answered it very well. One person, his part of his lore was his stories that he learned about his grandfather and his and how he began to appreciate the skill of his grandfather. He saw patterns on the wall and he began to appreciate those. And so one person asked, well, kind of like, why didn't you already appreciate those? You were there with your grandfather. Kind of like, what gives? How come you didn't already have it? And he answered very sincerely and honestly, as most of us would. And that is, you grow up with it and you just see it, and it's there. But you don't know the questions to ask. You don't know how to make a big thing of it. That is where your educational institution comes in. That the educational institutions, by saying that this is a big thing and we want you to mine those stories because there's value, there's gold there, then that process helps the student value the information. Just think about it. We say it all the time. Our students need to have books that are reflective of them in schools, because the schools is a affirming institution. And so by us affirming not only the pictures, but also the stories, and then further teaching the students how to interrogate those stories and mine them for expertise, is to me very, very powerful. Are y'all with me on that? Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
All right, now I got to hear some people. Who's still with me? I've been going at it. I want to make sure. I haven't heard from Baba Sabri. Are you there? Mama Sole, are you there?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Thank you very much. Baba Sababu, I know you're having some difficulty.
Yeah, this is Mansoor. Sorry about that. My mute button was not working.
Okay.
Unmute.
All right.
But I'm here and I hear you loud and clear.
All right. Excellent.
We appreciate
Excellent. All right. Thank you. Mama Etna, you still with us?
I'm right here. Yes.
All right. That's Mama Abuna. Mama Etna, are you still with us?
Yes, I'm here.
I think it's great.
Sorry about that.
You're all good.
Speak for me.
It's all good.
That's my sister.
The Eja Kweku.
I'm here.
All right. So he went traditional on us. Aja is Baba, right?
It's Eja. Yeah, Eja means
Eja is Baba. Kweku, and Kweku means born on what?
Wednesday.
Born on Wednesday. Okay, Abana is Tuesday. Kweku. All right, so let's keep going here. Thank y'all very much. And if y'all hear some stuff that sounds good to you, y'all can make some noise out there or fire up the text chat. And if you have any questions, again, this is not so much a show as to have you see some of the surface and deep structure and see how you can be supportive of it. Because at Aya, this is we're a family and the learning is collaborative. And that's why we have these sessions on the 3rd of every month. All right. So this section we call the call and response section, because the Family Lure Project is a response to a call. There's a surface structure call, then there's a deep structure call. And then in this section, this part here, what I've highlighted, we really then talk about the project. We talk about the academic, social, and healing goals of it. I'll repeat that. The academic goals of the Family Lure Project, the social goals, and the healing goals of it. And then we talk a little bit about how it was birthed, and then also the strategy to achieve those academic and healing goals. So let's cut right in we use three ancestors who issued the call. One is Zora Neale Hurston. And so the first part is me telling a story about Zora Neale Hurston, where she says, sometimes I feel discriminated against, but it doesn't make me angry. It merely astonishes me. How can any deny themselves the pleasure of my company? It's beyond me. All right. So, and as I talk to students at a high school here in Atlanta, not I am making this presentation or making a presentation, she made this grand entrance and they wanted to know in 1925, who was this brash woman? And most of them did not know her. Some had heard of her. And part of what we began to introduce to them is also some things about Zora Neale Hurston. And number one, of course, they liked and identified with her brashness, her power and confidence, intelligence that reminded them themselves. But then they were surprised when we presented this letter in 1955, a letter to the Orlando Sentinel, where Zora Neale Hurston opposed a U.S. Supreme Court decision in Brown versus Board of Education. I want to read this to you. The whole matter revolves around the self-respect of my people. How much satisfaction can I get from a court order for somebody to associate with me who does not wish me near them? If there were not adequate Negro schools in Florida, and there is some residual, some inherent and unchangeable quality in white schools, impossible to duplicate anywhere else, then I am the first to insist that Negro children of Florida be allowed to share this boon. But if there are adequate Negro schools and prepared instructors and instruction, then there is nothing different except the presence of white people. For this reason, I regard the ruling of the U.S. Supreme Court to be an insult rather than an honor. Zora Neale Hurston, some wise words. She then added, it is a contradiction in terms to scream race, pride, and equality while at the same time spurning Negro teachers and self-association. This was Houston in 1955. Just want to check, how many of you knew of this side of Zora Neale Hurston?
I didn't know of it, but I didn't.
All right, so now let's just move on because she's one of the ancestors. The other ancestor that we call on, and these are the ancestors who are issuing the call, okay, that this project is a response to, okay, or this project seeks to respond to. Baba Asa G. Hilliard III, also called Nana Before Amantwakia II, and a good friend of mine and a teacher of mine, though never through his university. I went to his home and to his library in his home, and he took me in to teach me in that way. Asa says, a common goal of African-American parents in the past has been to get their children to be just as good as them, that is white people. Frequently, African-American children were taught to be more European than Europeans. There is something pitiful to me about any African-American who can experience comfort in a state of cultural isolation that results, since cultural surrender does not, nor can it lead to authentic identity in a new culture. The book that I recommend you put in your library and that we will refer to over years while you are parents at Aya is a book called The Maroon Within Us. It was published in 1998, The Maroon Within Us. It's a gold mine, all right? And here he's talking about cultural isolation and cultural surrender. All right, so now let's move to the more of what the surface level, the problems. When I say surface, it doesn't mean they're not serious. The deep structure has to do with what's underneath. The surface structure are very real problems. And this is the call. For the decade of 1993 to 2012, Black boys 5 to 11 years old surpassed white boys in the rate of killing themselves. Y'all do know that, right? We're not even talking about teenagers. We're talking about our young black boys taking their own lives at a rate greater than Europeans. All right. And black youth are choosing to take their own lives far more frequently than elders. This is, and here is the resources for this. This particular section provides resources for parents and educators and other people who run rites of passage programs, who run Saturday school programs, and other kinds of academic programs, so that they can have not only the problem, but they can have the sources should they have to make the case to others. They can see where the sources are. And we really are going to be promoting this, and Mama Kaya, Mama Ma'at is going to be one of the people taking the lead and extending this work to other people during Saturday school, after school, rites of program, passage, and even family reunions. All right. How many of you for whom is this news that in this decade from 1993 to 2012, our children, black boys, are killing themselves at a rate that's on the rise, and the leading cause of death between black people between the ages of 15 and 24? Is that news to anybody?
Yes, that's news to me. But I wanted to ask you, Baba Wekesa.
Yes.
Are there statistics on the reasons why?
The statistics on the reasons why. There are all kinds of, if you go to the various reports, you'll begin to see various reports. Part of the reason that I'm suggesting, the larger reason, is cultural surrender and cultural alienation. That is, it used to be unheard of for black people of any age to commit suicide. When I grew up, and I know I'm old, but I'm not that old. All right, when I grew up, if you heard of somebody committing suicide, you automatically knew it was a white person.
Right.
That's not the case now. All right. And I'm talking about within 40 years, there's this kind of turnaround. All right. And cultural surrender and cultural alienation are the major factors, as well as their response to this onslaught, this racist brutality, which we as adults actually are not responding to.
That's true.
And just yesterday, I was watching a report where a young brother, was telling his older brother. This older brother had been shot by police. He had his hands up. He was shot 5 times. He was paralyzed. And his younger brother said, "I want to be white because the police don't shoot white people." Okay. Now I really want you to understand, we cannot leave our children in a sense of cultural isolation. And part of this project is to help heal alienation as a partial answer, not a total answer. So this is one call, all right? Throughout our 20th century, this was virtually non-existent. Black boys, not even teens, now are taking their lives at growing rates. All right, so that sounds alarm. So there is that social level call. Then there's academic devastation. African-American academic performance limps. Black graduation rates from high schools were 69% in 2016, 27% for those who enrolled in 2-year colleges, and 39% for those in 4-year colleges. I want you to hear me real clear. For African Americans who enroll in 4-year colleges, less than 40% graduate. Less than 27% or less than 30% if they're enrolled in 2-year colleges, all right? And Black graduation rates for high school students were not even 70%. All right. Now, you want to know, Mama, what the reason for this? Racist discipline policies and administration and teachers with chronically low expectation of African students. Okay. That, of course, will not be duplicated at our Education Institute. All right. Now, this, we'll keep going. High Black student suspension and dropout rates and low academic performance are standard fare for African students at both public and private schools. I'll reinforce, in public and private schools. June 5th, 2017, it's just last year, Mercury News headlines blared. 75% of black boys in California do not meet state reading standards. Y'all hear me clearly, 75%. All right. They feed the school to increasingly private prison pipeline. Now with the new notion of having guns and teachers be armed, you don't have to have a school to prison pipeline. Schools become the prison. All right.
They got metal detectors now in the schools.
Yes, well, they've actually, in inner city schools, they've been having metal detectors. Those have been prisons, all right? That's expanding southward and westward and in less concentrated areas. So that's the academic devastation. All right, so again, we just want to highlight what the call is, why we have to do something different, and then hopefully you'll see how Aya generally and specifically how the Family Lure Project seeks to address some of these issues. All right, even African-centered schools are affected by this devastation. In purple, apathy, misplaced hostility, anemic academic preparation reduce the effectiveness of African-centered programs, which often expect higher academic performance and greater social responsibility to our community. So after being battered, alienated in the public and white private, predominantly white private systems, then even when they come to African-centered programs, we have to deal with misplaced hostility, anemic academic preparation, and apathy, and in order to turn that around. Just so that you know, I did an internal survey last year of our high school students as they were getting antsy about going to college. And they reported fearing that colleges will look at them unfairly, regardless of their grades, because they attended a Black or African-centered school. They said they believe that their parents are setting them up. This is also why you must talk to them and why you're getting this from me so that you can respond to them about how this is a great place for them. It is not enough just to say you're sending them to, because these students had been with us for years and still feared that they were going to be looked down upon. Even though we have a track record, an unblemished track record of our children going to colleges and getting handsome financial packages, if not full four-year scholarship. So when I brought that to them, they said, yes, but this is the Trump era. And so they were wondering, would that still hold up? Well, so far, of course, that does still hold up. And Daye's mother is on the call, and she got a full four-year scholarship to Bennett College. She's the third Aya graduate to get honors and scholarships, full scholarships to Bennett College. And there are others as well. So let's go on to social devastation. So far, we've talked about academic devastation. All right, we've talked about the personal devastation and familiar, because when someone takes their life, it's not just their life. All right, so let's look at social devastation. So worse than the paltry number of Black students who are prepared to actively, worse still is the paltry number of Black students who are prepared to actively push against people, policies, and practices that oppress African people. I want to highlight this because even for those students who graduated from the colleges and from two-year colleges and four-year colleges, very little, if anything, in their college or high school prepared them to challenge people, policies, and practices that oppress African people. I'm sorry, Aya Educational Institute is not trying to produce students who do well on academic tests, but who do not have a commitment to and the skill or the interest in challenging people, policies, and practices that oppress African people. We cannot make it without that. And that doesn't happen just because someone makes a high score on the SAT. It doesn't happen just because they do well in science. It doesn't happen just because they present at a conference. This is something that has to be instilled over time, and it's something that we want you to support. Okay. Now, if you got a problem with it, please let's talk about it as parent to school. but we actively want the students. And one of the best ways for you to reinforce this is for you to model it, where you are actively challenging people, policies, and practices that oppress African people. You can choose your weapons, you can choose your comrades, you can even choose the battle, whether it's signing petitions or doing something more active. It's important that you do this and that you share that with your students, or actually have them get involved with you in challenging people, policies, and practices that oppress African people. Let me stop on that. And can I get an amen or question, or is that something that you are willing to do?
Yes, I would like to share that I recently joined the local chapter of the campaign to end the new Jim Crow that is, modeled after Michelle Alexander's book. There's two committees that I work on with that campaign. One is the Youth Task Force, where we are looking at local organizations that are supposed to be supporting youth in services as far as homelessness or different issues. But then another committee I'm on is spoken word committee, where we are trying to get the youth involved in art pieces, whether it's rap or song or fine art or any type of performance, in their experience with mass incarceration or harassment or any of these topics that affect us today. And I just spoke with Samad about this a couple of days ago, that I'm going to, I make him and Samir aware of, my meetings, and they're always, when I come back, they're always like, how did your meeting go? And I try to fill them in on, the, what we talked about. But I told Samad that he's going to start to get involved in this movement of, ending mass incarceration, and, however you start to volunteer and help out, I'm going to be looking for him to be involved in the issue that affects his generation today. So
fantastic, folks. And what I love that you're doing is you're modeling it. It's so important. Not that we push our children out, but ask them to join our efforts. Okay, it's really critical. If you want to talk about how do you reduce that suicide rate, you want to talk about how do you reduce the apathy, have them join us as we seek not just to do well, but to do well so that we will push against, oppose people, policies, or practices that oppress our people. All right. And I encourage you not to just have it be watered down and all people. It may affect all people, and many different folk can be involved. But please do not let challenging oppression against our people go to the back burner, okay? Or else they will, and will seek to find their refuge in other people's movements. All right, let's keep going. So this to me is devastating. That is, even when we have academic performance, we don't have students who are ready, okay? I asked students last year, all right, if they could ever imagine themselves under any circumstances standing up for our people as Assata Shakur did. The quiet answer was no for most students, and a loud no for a few. Are y'all hearing me? Okay. Now, it's really important, because if they're not being prepared to understand that when it's time, we have to make those sacrifices by seeing you raise those up, by seeing you involved with it, by having that as a high goal, then their education is not an education for liberation, it's an education for accommodation. All right, let's keep going. All right. Education and socialization at school and home have failed to produce students who are interested in and prepared to challenge oppression and our oppressors. And I always put oppressors as well as oppression, because many times we hide behind the larger noun, as if people don't maintain systems. All right. Yes, there is a system of oppression. People maintain systems of oppression. Yes, there's structural oppression, and people maintain those structures. All right, so those are social level, or what I call surface level. You can see them. They certainly are important. They certainly hurt. You have social devastation, suicide. You have academic devastations, poor graduation rates, suspension rates, et cetera, poor reading performance. You have other social devastation, that is, folks are not prepared to challenge people, policies, and practices. Now let's go to the deep structure. Okay. Now let me just pause a minute. Any comments? If we haven't, you want to make any comments on that before we go to the deep structure?
I have a comment to make.
Yes. Who is I?
This is Sumai Sababu.
Yay, Bo. Yo, come on.
I think a part of the issue too is poor nutrition. We eat this European nutrition, and it's diminishing our pineal gland, so we can't think properly.
I agree with you.
So we need to teach our kids how to eat properly also.
No question about that. There are many contributing factors. All righty. Thank you much. Any other comments? We dealing with the call. The Family Law Project is the response. Any other calls? Yes, Malcolm, are you trying to say something, sir?
I have a flashcard about
Malcolm.
Malcolm.
Malcolm. This is actually more for your grandmother. I'm glad that you are there helping her with the technology. But this is a parent meeting, and so if you don't have to cover your ears. It's all good. You know, it's okay. We're not saying anything that we don't want you to hear. It's just this is a time for her, and you back her up and you support her. Okay. You support her with the technology if she needs any help. All right.
On the laptop, I do. I hate it.
I really appreciate your being there, Mama Carol, and I appreciate him supporting you. All right. Any other comments or questions about the surface structure? All right. So let's go to the deep structure. For the deep structure, we're going to again go to Hurston. Okay, and then we're going to lean on before again, and then Amos Wilson to have us understand, what do we have to do to turn some of this around. All right, Hurston, excuse me. Malcolm, mute your mic, please, until it's time for you to talk. Thank you. But I'm not tragically colored, Hurston says. There's no great sorrow dammed up in my soul, nor lurking behind my eyes. I do not belong to the sobbing school of Negrohood who hold that nature somehow has given them a low-down, dirty deal, and whose feelings are all but about it. No, I don't weep at the world. I'm too busy sharpening my oyster knife. All right, this is the kind of attitude we have to engender in our students. Too many of our students want to be like the young man that I talked about earlier, wanting to be anything but African because of our treatment and because in our psyche we are taught that somehow being African is a problem. All right, so let's go. Now, one of the ways we pass this on, that we correct at Higher Education Institute, and I really want y'all to consider changing if you say it. Many times you'll hear people saying he was arrested because he was black. He was shot just because he was black. She was denied entrance because she was black. All right, would you please stop saying that? Instead, the problem is not the blackness. The problem is the racism. I hope you understand the subtlety. If you say she was denied because she was black, then it makes to the mind receiving it that blackness is the problem. The problem is their racism. And I don't talk about microaggressions. I call it what it is, racism. That is, he was shot because of this racist attitude toward black people. How does that sound? Okay. She was denied entrance because of their racist attitudes and behavior toward black women. Okay, this is important. Psychological oppression is what we're having to address and what we're having to change. So would you please interrupt, or at least consider it, because we don't allow it here. If students say that, we have them change that, because the problem is not their blackness. The problem is racist responses to their blackness. All right, let's go on to Hilliard. Our problem is the disintegration of a sense of peoplehood, pure and simple. We've reached a point in our history where we've been socialized to see ourselves as individuals and cultural neuters. That is, we're people who happen to be black, okay? That is cultural neuters is his word. As we become more and more isolated, alone, and culturally undefined, we lose the capacity to see group problems. I want to repeat that. As we become more and more isolated, alone, and culturally undefined, we lose the capacity to see group problems. Without a sense of we, collective action that may be possible will be limited and superficial. We can fight oppression together if we exist. He further says, we cannot draw on a common culture to fashion a new world if we do indeed, we can call upon a common culture to fashion a new world if we do indeed belong to that common culture. Part of what the Family Little Project is doing is to help us remember and reconnect to that common culture by connecting them to your grandparents, to your great-grandparents, to your great-great-grandparents, to your uncles, cousins, and aunts. We're not satisfied with having them just be connected to social media and connected to what's happening now. We have to reinstill in them a sense of a common culture if they're going to have a base to fashion a new world on. Are y'all with me on that? Do you see how Asa Hilliard is calling for a deeper structure? All right. This is not satisfied just by counting numbers and getting accepted in people's programs. This is calling for a deep structure change. Now, Amos Wilson calls upon for a deep structure change. He says we are alienated to serve aliens. I'm going to let that sink in for a minute. The reason we are alienated from our culture, from our families, from our ways, is so that we may serve aliens. Many African-centered families, many conscious families, their children grow up and are alienated from the very work that their parents did and their grandparents did. Okay? That is, Brother Sabri's mother is running an educational institution, a daycare center, a young people's educational institution. Will her grandchildren decide that that work is too weak for them, is too little for them, is not grand enough for them? The process of alienation in public schools, private schools, and in colleges is to actually alienate our children from our ways, our culture, our families. I can't tell you how many African-centered children do not follow in the footsteps, whether that's the particular economic career, okay, or in the ideological path of their mothers and fathers, because the process of alienation is a very intentional one. And the Family Little Project, we plan to heal alienation by reversing that process. I'll continue with Amos after he says we are alienated to serve aliens. Alienation means to feel estranged or separated from, indifferent or hostile toward, unfamiliar with, or fearful of, or withdrawn from, unconnected to. That's what he means by alienation. As you think about our youth, okay, and our people, are we estranged from our culture? What you say? Are we separated from our culture? Are we indifferent from shopping with Black people? Maybe even hostile toward shopping with Black people? Are we fearful of our own people? Are we withdrawn from our own people? Are we unconnected? Yes, we are. You ask where the suicide comes from. Here's where it comes from. And so we have to heal it here. Now, I say this because so many 2-cent programs, simple programs, want to address it at superficial levels. This is deep structure that we have to address the problem at. Sometimes it doesn't even look like we're addressing the problem, because the problems are mere manifestations of deeper sickness. All right, so let's continue. Amos Wilson says, to have lost remembrance or accurate knowledge and identity with one's true undistorted self, historical self, and culture, and important segments of reality. This is alienation. To have lost a remembrance of or accurate knowledge. I can't tell you, some students come and they don't know their grandparents' telephone numbers. Some don't even know their parents' telephone numbers. Some don't know their grandparents' full names. Okay, they don't know what their grandparents did and how their grandparents made a way economically and socially for their own parents. This is no accurate knowledge. This is amnesia. Okay, that's alienation. All right, alienation shapes us to, first bullet, to exist for another, to be disassociated from or indifferent or hostile to this, our own group. And third, to reject our authentic selves as preparation for alien cultural and spiritual possession and manipulation. I'll repeat that. In order for us to be possessed by others, and in order for us to be manipulated to serve others, our authentic selves have to be removed, have to be forgotten, have to be alien. We have to become alienated from in order to make room for a cultural and spiritual possession that leads to manipulation. All right, you can read about this. Here is the source. I have the source there. All right, let's go on. Collectively, the charge of these ancestors is for us to create African-centered schools and developmental initiatives designed to heal alienation and identity confusion. As we educate for academic and cultural excellence, I want you to understand at our Education Institute, math, science, social studies, language arts, and any other thing that we teach is a mere vehicle for healing alienation and identity confusion. I want you to join with us in that, because the reverse of that doesn't get us home. Those students who are academically prepared, but who have identity confusion and alienation will serve others at our expense. That's not good enough for us. Bullet number 2. We have to, according to these ancestors, resocialize students and community in ways that thwart external manipulation. Bullet number 3, we have to nurture an interest and skills that will produce students rendering distinguished service to our people based on our culture, our goals, and our needs. Let me tell you a short story here for those of you who may be new, and repeat it for those who've been for a while. When academic institutions call for our high school students, sometimes they ask the question, are we accredited? Our answer is no. Our answer is, and we don't seek accreditation. Our answer is that we seek to demonstrate to the academic professionals that our students can more than handle their work. We also, after demonstrating that, and those academic admissions officers are more than satisfied, I then return back to their question about whether we're accredited, and I say the reason we don't seek accreditation is because, and I tell them a short story. When I went to the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, I was one of the first group of students who went there when the numbers were significant. 900 of us came in that same year. And I said, nobody at University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill asked my mother, brother, sister, any teachers, any people in my community, what they would have to do, how they would have to change the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill so that when I got finished being educated there, I would have interest and skill in rendering distinguished service to my people. I tell them that nobody asked me that of my parents in undergraduate school. When I went to graduate school, nobody asked that question at UNC. And I said UNC was not designed when it was created to graduate students who would know how or have an interest in rendering distinguished service to the Black community. And I said, so we don't wait until they get to Harvard, Howard, or wherever in order for students to learn that. We instilled that students here so the students can go to whether it's Howard, Bennett, or Harvard. They can take the best that they have to offer, and they know how to use that to render distinguished service to our people. I then asked the admissions officer a question. I said, I don't know an accreditation agency that knows how to measure that. Would you please tell me if you know one, and I will call them. And they said, no, sir, I don't know one. I said, thank you very much. I said, well, you can put this in the record because you'll have other students from our school applying. Now, this is important to us, okay? Because to have a student to be academically prepared, but not prepared academically and socially to render distinguished service to our community, understanding our wounds, not some idyllic, understanding how we've been wounded by oppression, understanding our particular needs, understanding how oppression affects us differently. If their preparation doesn't prepare us to do this, I don't care what school it is not a good education. And so this is the call that these ancestors are putting forth. So now let's get to the response, and I'll just speed this up just a little bit so that we can have some time. I'll take a break right here before we go into the response. Any amens, any questions or comments from you? Are we on point? Do you get what we're talking about when we talk about this little project called the Family Law Project? All right, I got some thumbs up.
I got a question, Baba Wekesa.
Yes, ma'am, I love it.
So, okay, we're giving our children these examples of how they should counter oppression and counter, to be able to think for themselves. How, and the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, but how do we make them stay on that path after they leave us or leave Aya? You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I love it. One of the ways to do that is for you to be engaged in at your level and let them know that you're engaged in it, and you stay engaged in it even after they leave, so that they have something, that standard is a standard that continues. All right, that's one. There also is something called Aya Collegiate Complement, and that is, we know that students will go to places and that don't nurture this. And so for parents who choose to, they can literally enroll their children in Aya Collegiate Complement. And so that those students can actually use the resources at Aya Education Institute and use the connection to keep them there. I'll give you an example. Nadir graduated, and he's at a white school in White, Arizona. Okay. After his orientation, he called me. We had conversations about the Black Student Union and whether he should join it or not. We had conversations about academic load, etc., so that we keep folks connected. He's not only stay connected to me, he stay connected to Sirwa Ife. If you remember the course, which is a critical course called Where My Voice Begins, he stayed connected with Tafari as a part of our collegiate complement program. He's on a mission there. Now, this is really important. He's not going there to just take in what they have. He's going there to make life better for Black students who are there, and therefore to improve the university, all right, by improving the life of Black students. And that's what he's doing as a part of the Black Student Union. Also, when he finished a 20-minute film, freshman year, 20-minute film, first semester freshman, 20-minute film on race, he then sent that here, and we have then sent many people to him, giving him kudos, where he may not get those right there in his institution. He's had people all over the country because we're directing people to see the film and give him kudos to support him there. Does that answer your question? All right. So he's lately asked me to come and speak to the Black Student Union there. And he asked me, what topic does he want me to speak on? On the importance of them maintaining their Black identity in that white space. Okay. Now, that's not just him. Ife before him okay, who went to Bennett. And at the end of her first semester, freshman year, her friends were seniors. Now, what is that? How was that? When I was a freshman, I didn't hang out with seniors, particularly my freshman year. All right. For Nadir, when he brought people to the Black Panther conversation that we had a few Sundays ago, he brought graduate students. I was not hanging out with graduate students in my freshman year. Why? Is because of what they say and their mindset that they leave here with. All right. Now, the the seniors that Ife was hanging with at the end of her first semester, that is come December of her freshman year, seniors that she's hanging with, some of which were from South Africa, others from around the country, go to the president because they are honors scholars, including Ife as a freshman, and they meet with the president. So as an honor scholar, they met and they said to the president, Julianne Malveaux at the time, that we've been here 4 years. This is our last year. We've taken wonderful courses. We've taken courses about Black people. She said, but the things that we're learning from Ife, we have never heard before. So the things that she's learning, the perspectives, they'd never heard before. This is them talking to the president of the college. The president of the college then arranges a meeting with the provost of the college for them to consider creating some other Black studies courses. Do you understand? Our children are prepared to change the world, to change the colleges they're going through. That's what we put in them. Okay, that's what we expect them to do when they go forward. All right, and then to support them and reinforce their doing that. All right, so let's go on. Great question. Any other question or comment? All right. So how is this a response? You already know that students are to extract written and family, oral and written literature from the family that we call family lore. You already know that they'll be analyzing and writing about this, all right? And what this achieves is academic and social development. What we're talking about is what Sterling Stuckey calls a circle of culture, all right? And in this conversation, as they are talking to you, as you are talking and helping them talk to the grandparents, as you are calling up stories, as you're calling up proverbs, as you're calling up songs, sayings, etc., from as far as you can find them, all right? And you talk to them about it in their cars. You talk to them about it, you know, when you're shopping in grocery stores. You talk to them about it as you're singing a song and you remember this is what your mother, your grandmother, your uncle, your aunt used to sing. Please don't evaluate or eliminate it because you don't think it's academically valuable. Please don't eliminate it because the words that are said are gwine and with my sister to the stove. Please do not throw it out so that they begin to gather that, all right? And you know about that, all right? Even favorite songs they used to sing, even if they weren't original songs, it's okay. Now, let's look at more deeply how this project goes to that. So the goals of this project are academic, healing, and socialization. Here are the academic foci, okay, for middle and high school students. First, language arts, writing, grammar, literature, and storytelling. Critical thinking, reading, listening, and comprehension, history, and social studies. As well, this is written last year. This year, our high school biology teacher will be asking in the last 9 weeks for to get nutritional information from their parents, grandparents, etc., their diets, so that she can begin to look, they can begin to look in biology at the nutritional value of the various diets. Okay, so it'll go into science as well. You're providing a database that different disciplines, different teachers can use over time that they are here to help them relate to and be connected, better connected to their culture. All right, so these are the academic foci. Here are the personal academic foci. Now this is important, healing the academic damage. What do we mean by that? Sometimes some students will say, well, I'm not good at spelling, or I'm not good at mathematics. okay? That is a loss of skill development, a loss of confidence, a loss of motivation. We have to heal that. We don't accept that I don't have a good memory. I want to hear. Okay, we don't accept it. We may accept if you want to develop it more, fine. But this is academic damage, okay, that I don't have a good memory. It's academic damage, and please don't say it to yourself. If you say it to yourself, stop saying it. You can say, I want to improve my memory. Don't say that I have a bad memory. Please don't tell your children they have a bad memory, okay? Please don't say, I'm not good in math anymore. If you say it, please say, I'm really learning and I need to be better in math, okay? So it's okay to talk about the goals, but it's not okay for you to begin to talk about it as if it's innate, okay? All right? So we have to heal that academic damage, all right? And I'm talking about your children because I've heard some of these things from your children, okay? As well as children from before, all right? So that's a goal, to heal academic damage. And we'll talk about how we do that. All right, and I'm talking fast, y'all, because I really want you to get it, and I don't mean to be talking so fast, but I really want you to get it, okay? So y'all bear with me, okay? Because this is often misunderstood. You often think it's a cute little project, and you don't understand the deep structure behind it, okay? And it makes sense at first that you don't take it in at the deep structure. That's why you're just getting it now. We also, personal academic healing, creating a foundation for future teaching that will accelerate the achievement of those academic objectives. Let me just say straight, sometimes if the goal with a particular student is to heal academic damage, then we're not so concerned about how fast they move forward in that academic area. I want to repeat that because the way we've been taught to measure is we've been taught to measure students' progress by how fast they move, clip, 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 ignoring the academic damage. So students will cheat, students will stay focused on grades only, etc., and they will maintain the academic damage. This is not just them, this is me too, all right? I thought that I wasn't good at mathematics, so I got by. It wasn't until later on that I began to nurse a knowledge and a fascination for mathematics, and I'm still healing that wound to this day, all right? When we create engagement and we heal those wounds so that students are open to math, they're open to writing, they're open to science, they're open to all of those areas in a way that's unwounded, then that means they have avenues and we've created foundations for future learning in that area. And once we help to heal that, then they will accelerate getting it. I hope y'all with me on that, okay? And hope y'all can identify that with your own self and with your own academic healing. A good thing to talk about is to talk to your students about healing your own academic damage. How many of you say I don't have good memories? How many of you say I just am not a good speller? You know, how many of you say math is not for me? How many say I never got science? Okay? All right, those are academic wounds. That is not anything innate about you. Okay? You have all the capacity to be excellent in every subject, every single subject ever created and thought of. And that you are not, although you believe that you can't, not that you not believe you can't, is an academic wound. All right, please let them know that you are healing that, okay? And we have a whole process around that with math called Sankofa math. That's another thing. All right, social healing and building foci. We want to heal estrangement from our ancestors, from the elders, from the family, from the community and African culture. We want to create a sense of connection and obligation. I want to highlight that. Because this notion that I'm an individual and I have no connection and obligation to the African community, if that's what you want, Aya is not the place for you, okay? All your students. We want to help create a sense of connection to and obligation to our African community. And you can model that as well. We want to heal amnesia, to discover lost strategies. Now this, I really want to underline, because people think that when we're talking about history and talking about stories, we're only talking about identity and culture. No, I have it highlighted. We're talking about finding lost strategies for coping and solving problems. This is critical. Just today, it came out. Let me see if I can find it for you. How many of you saw the report rich white boys stay rich, rich black boys become poor. How many of you saw that article today?
I saw it and reshared it.
I'm going to share with you one response so that you understand what we mean in terms of this right here and why this is critical and important. Let's see if we can get to it. Desktop 2. All right, we'll do that. Let's see here. Okay. Are you seeing my Facebook page now? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, so let me go to zoom that down. All right, let's go here. While I get this here, too many schools are preparing our children for yesterday, okay? They're not going to yesterday. They're not going to when we were teenagers. All right, here is the article right here. Rich white boys stay rich, black boys don't. This is New York Times. You can check it out for yourself, all right? And so in response to this, okay, here is a wonderful sister and a friend, comes from an African-centered community and teaches at an African-centered school. A powerful, powerful sister, okay? She says, I'm genuinely feeling reparation these days, fighting and winning. And for how long do we have to fight? Fighting is fighting forever healthy? Would fighting on the continent mean winning in ways that would produce more sustainable joy, peace, and power? Can we ever truly experience peace and power in this space? I'm struggling, Baba. Okay, I want you to understand. This is not somebody. This is somebody. This onslaught of racism, structural racism, over and over, has us struggling. All right, we cannot have an education that doesn't address that. All right, now I'll let you look at that, and you can look at my overall response to her. Then that's not the point that I'm trying to make right now. I want you to understand this part about lost strategies here, because this says lost strategies for coping and solving problems. That is, many of our people don't know what was your grandmama's strategy for coping and solving our problems when she knew it wasn't a discovery that the sheriff was the Klan, that the police are the Klan. We knew that the sheriff was the Klan. Still, what was the strategy for coping and solving our problems? How did we gain territory in a hostile environment? Our children, and many times we, don't know those strategies. So we're not just talking about feel good, okay, you know your grandmama and her recipe, although we want you to know that as well. We also will mine these stories over time for them to find strategies, lost strategies, for coping and for solving our problems. All right? How did we come out of and create a Black Wall Street? How do we create a Hayti district in Durham? How do we create a Sweet Auburn when there were hostility against us? It's going to be critical that we know that, because we are in an openly hostile time again. Wouldn't you agree?
Agreed.
All right. So we can't be using strategies that were designed when we had moved the ceiling up, when those before us had marched and died and shot and went on fast and moved the ceiling up, so that the job was to fill the space gained by the ceiling that had been pushed up by our ancestors, by the Sada Shakurs, by the Martin Luther Kings, by the Malcolms, by the Fannie Lou Hamers. They, in their work, pushed the ceiling higher. So then our job was to occupy that new space. Those were the strategies that were needed then. The ceiling is being pushed further and further down to train our students to occupy space that is not there, when in fact they have to return to moving this ceiling higher. Are y'all with me? You understand? That is poor education. That is miseducation on our parts. If we teach them how to occupy space which is no longer there. Y'all, the money that my daughter is offered when she's trying to find jobs is money I would have been insulted by 20, 30 years ago. You offered me more than $24 an hour. I told you to get out of my face. Not no $14 an hour, no $7, no $10 an hour. Okay, we have to prepare them for what they are facing. Okay, all right. The last is to create an identity full of Africa to provide psychic defense against alien possession and manipulation. This alien and cultural possession comes through television, comes through news, comes through social media. If their personality is full of Africa, then there is no room. It will bounce up against that. If their personality is neutered, and I'm just a human being who happens to be black, then it can be filled with anything. Okay? All right. I will skip those things. You can go over it. I think I've covered most of the things, with the exception, there's one thing, there's much more in here. I hope you will see that. Why I will say our feelings as messengers tool that's a part of healing oppression's wounds is critical. Why? Because when you ask for family stories, the way we're asking and we'll begin to ask, it brings up feelings. Sometimes pride, sometimes not pride. Sometimes, well, we're not going to talk about that. Y'all know what I mean? All right. And so when you ask for family stories, it brings up emotion. Becoming emotionally authentic and emotionally literate is critical for our teachers. Mama Etna, as you continue to do this work, all right, helping the students, helping the families, you have to be clear at this because you will get pushback. And some of the pushback that looks like apathy is actually uncomfortable emotions. All right. So feelings as messengers too is critical as a part of our warrior healer work to making this successful. The first year I had a mother, Mama Atta. Mama Atta called me and she was angry with me. She said, "You made my daughter cry." I said, "What are you talking about?" She said, "This family law project." I said, "What are you talking about?" She says, "We have no family." I said, "Huh?" I said, "Tell me more." As I began to use the tools of our feelings of our training from WHB, feelings as messengers is one. Even though she was coming at me angrily, my hunch is that she was afraid and I was listening for the danger. She said, "We are estranged from our family. We've changed. We're not the same religion. We don't eat the same. We don't go to the church the same anymore. My mother and folks have separated themselves from me." And so when you ask me and her to go and find family information, it brings up pain. And I said, "I understand." Okay? Sometimes you have somebody separated and you ask them to go and find information about a mother who's not there, or previous father or somebody who's in jail or whomever. It takes some skill for those who are navigating this, you as parents, and for those who are teachers. And understanding our feelings as messengers model is absolutely positively critical for success of this project, because asking for stories is emotional. Many times we assume that when we see apathy, and this happens in the public and private school all the time, they say, "Oh, the parents don't care." Well, when there's some scare and they don't know how to navigate it, and so they procrastinate or don't do it, they're labeled apathetic. No, very often they're afraid. Okay? It's really important that we know how to address that. All right. One aspect of that is whenever there's something in the family that we don't feel proud about, that we feel or have been told that it's a failure, because in this society we're told that we're failures. That is, any failed effort or mistake is proof that we are a failure. This is a dynamic of oppression. When I grew up and the news would come on, 6 o'clock, they would say, "A bank robbery at 5th and Elm, back in 60 seconds for the details." In 60 seconds, this was a commercial. Somebody in that house was going to say something, and you know what it is. "I sure hope it won't no black person." Why? Because if it was a black person, we knew that the media and white people would use that personal failure or example or accusation of such as proof that we all were thieves, we all deserved whatever harm that white people could put upon us. So I want you to understand that dynamic, because it doesn't stay broadly. It then affects us personally, because we often then don't want to go into things that we consider failures because it's proof that we are a failure or the family is a failure. Now, of course, if you want to talk about success, most people will tell you that the success comes from learning the lessons from the failure. Am I right? Talk to me now. It is learning the lessons from the failure. It is going into the failure. Now, we will do that if we're not trying to battle psychically to protect ourselves from being considered failures. So that we failed is a behavioral thing. It's something we did or didn't do or need to correct our doing, not our being. Are y'all with me on this? Mama Joy, are you with me on this? Mama Davis, because listen, if you're representing this project, this is what you're representing. This is what you're bringing, okay? The students are bringing us a level of it, but this is the deep structure that's under it, okay? And we ain't asking nobody's permission for this. This is why we have Aya. I don't want to be going asking somebody's permission for something they don't even know what's going on. All right. There is more of this. I will send to you. Now, this is going to the editors right now. So this purple and whatever is what the editors have sent me back right now, the content editors. All right. I will send to you, the parents. This is not for circulation. This is for your understanding. You can circulate among your family. I mean, whoever is not here. And the book will be republished within a month, 2 at the most, with this section in it. All right, so hopefully you have gotten some sense of the deep structure. There's another part I'll get to another time, and it is about the power of storytelling for analytical thinking. This comes from folks who are professionals at critical thinking and decision making, who are hired to work in emergency rooms, to study emergency rooms, to study firefighters, to study if you're on a Black Hawk helicopter where making a decision means life or death. What they've discovered is that the best tool for making sure you make great decisions and great analysis is stories. And we'll talk about that as a way to get into another part of Warriors and Healers and Builders, and that is storytelling from the inside out. Comments, questions as we prepare to take our exit. Any comments, any questions? I'm not in a hurry. I know. Go ahead.
I'm a bit speechless, but I'm just feeling everything that you said and more.
Great. Can y'all, as you say, can you say any one thing that you will take away from this tonight, from this particular presentation? Anything, any questions or comments, or at least if you include in your comment, at least one thing that you'll take away that you connect to the Family Law Project and to our Education Institute?
Yes, Baba Wekesa, this is Ejakweku. One of the things that we're talking about, you made reference to The Maroon Within Us by Asa Hilliard. And I have picked up the book, and on one of the chapters, Socializing Our Children, on page 137, there's something I was reading that really has spoken to me, and it's kind of scary, but goes along with everything that we're talking about.
Come on.
Well, currently, there, as far as social media, for the young boys and maybe girls also from ages maybe 10 to 17.
Yes, love. Continue.
There's a concerted effort to glorify the prison industrial complex, if I could put it in those terms. And the more we educate our children about how bad it is, the more mainstream media keeps pushing it on them. And in page 137, it talks about a good way, about the ways in which African people are supposed to socialize their children. And it breaks down separation, observation of nature, peership, rejection of childhood, listening to the elders, purification rituals, and all that. All that stuff that's been listed is what these guys are doing to prepare our children for the prison. So rather than going through this system, it's being replaced by the jails, essentially. Everything that was talked about in here. And it's scary, but it is there. So if you haven't picked up this book, any other parents that are here, I'd highly recommend that you do, because there are just some things in there that are very revealing, but also very, they arm you to know what to do next as far as where you're stated. So I appreciate you for that.
Absolutely. Asa Hilliard is one of the foundations that which Aya is built on. When we started doing this work, we were in a brick and mortar situation. And when after a series of number of things, we said we were going to begin to do this on a web conference base, Asa Hilliard, before he passed, he said, I believe that you can do it. And so he's a spiritual father and a powerful educator and friend and teacher for me. So yes, much of what we do is designed based on his work, his scholarship, and his life's work. Speaking of which, actually, y'all got to remind me next time. His son has provided a 2-week scholarship for one of our students for the summer. All right. Next, any comments, any questions, and a takeaway, please.
Baba Wekesa, this is Mama Soleil. I wanted to say, definitely taking away, it's always nice to get these reminders as to why we are doing what we do and why our children are where they are, because I think it's easy to go throughout our week to get caught up in our own lives and stuff and things we need to do, and let things like family lore or any other thing that may be as important as that fall to the wayside, or not be seen with the important value that needs to be placed on it, and digging deep to go back and find those things, even when it's difficult, even when it's hard to, when you have family members that aren't here or that have been gone for so long, and it's work, but your passion and your talking about it and constantly reminding us makes me say, okay, I have to take that time to dig even deeper to make sure that they see the importance, because if we don't place importance on helping them to get those things and stressing that, then they won't see that value and importance either, because they're modeling and patterning after us as well, more of what they see than what we say. So I want to thank you for that tonight. And then I also wanted to just a quick comment about the accreditation piece. I think it's beautiful to not be accredited. And my children have consistently gone to schools that had no accreditation because the schools chose to. Now, this is by far the best one they've been at. But I think especially now what I have found is that I even chose to do a yoga teacher training that was unaccredited, spent months in India at an ashram, and they choose not to go through Yoga Alliance because the standards are higher than. So theirs is exactly what you were saying, is why would we submit to an organization who has minimum standards lower than what our minimum standards are? So our standards are higher than that. And that's what it reminds me of at Aya. And additionally, that we're in a different time now where it matters not, it's colleges and are looking for students that are free thinkers now, that are thinking outside the box, that are not the average. And so they are looked at more there. What I found is that colleges are looking more closely at homeschool students Absolutely. Coming from alternative education and preferring them over those coming out of the traditional education system. Yeah, they're set up to just pump out followers and factory workers, because that's not what's needed, especially now. So they definitely have an advantage, and the accreditation means absolutely nothing in this day and time. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. And reminds me what you said Y'all, as you're thinking about stories, think about some of the painful ones through the family to share. Think about so-called failures. Okay. Think about efforts that didn't work out. Yours, your parents. Think about relationships that didn't work out. Be real with them. Okay. Tell them stories because there are values connected to it. And there's particular strategies that we'll keep teaching the students to ask you, and we'll also tell you, so that you're giving them family lore and they're getting values. One quick strategy is find the tension in stories. I asked a person the other day in preparation as I was talking to him, when he thinks of his grandmother and he was raised by his grandmother's grandfather. I said, I want you to find five points of tension in their relationship and talk about those. And what he discovered is there were 5 key values. Every point of contention were value laden. Okay. And just so that y'all know, one of the assignments was the students last year had to make a persuasive essay. We were teaching persuasive essay, I was. And so they had to choose a family value and write a persuasive essay to persuade the world to their own family values. Now tell me, when did you ever went to school? Ever. Where you were required and rewarded for convincing others to adopt your family values? Never for me. Okay. Any others? Appreciations, takeaways?
I appreciate your knowledge and your passion. It's actually exhilarating. I'm just looking forward to learning more from you and teaching my soldiers up here to help teach these youth.
All right. Y'all make some way for me to get up there. You can throw something together on the 15th. I heard that we can do some dinner, but we can get, I don't care if it's 10 people in the room. Come on, let's get some folks in the room.
You know what? I'll put something together.
Put something together. Let them know. If you share the same kind of passion, then they'll come, they'll follow it. Let's roll.
I will. I'll put something together. I have the location already in mind.
All right. We do this in living rooms as well. All right. All right. I appreciate it, my brother. Any other takeaways or comments? Thank y'all for staying the extra time. Appreciations, comments, or takeaways? All righty.
I have to run, so I'm telling everyone goodbye. I had to go pick Samad up.
Okay, great. Brother Sabri, Baba, did you have to go? All right, he had to go. Let me see what he put in the text chat. All right, anybody else? All right, okay. Malcolm's grandmother, Mother Carol Gordon says, sorry for my grandma's bad typing because it was dark. What she really meant to say was, Hotep family, I'm in awe of what I just experienced, and I'm truly rejuvenated. The empowering message you have watered my spirit with. Wow, you truly thank and appreciate sharing this evening, and inspired to battle our oppressors. Okay, and all right. Any others? I don't want us to dribble out. So come on, let's get it so we can leave together. Come on, Mama Asia.
I wanted to say thank you, Baba Wekesa, for taking the time to teach the community. You know, not only our children, but the parents. And I had a lot of takeaways tonight, and I just appreciate each and every one of those. And I will do better at providing my daughter with some additional family lore.
Thank you so much, Asia. Really appreciate you and all you do in our community, and that your family has done for generations. All righty.
Thank you.
Ajak, okay, we heard from that.
Thank you, Baba Wekesa, and for really clarifying a lot with regards to the alienation, and not just giving the call, but the response. And the deeper level was pretty deep, you know, and so thank you for the clarification.
You're welcome, my sister. And you have the text, okay?
Yes.
Please go over it so that we can talk about it. I want to create a weekly meeting between you, me, Mama Kaya, or Mama Ma'at tonight. That sets the stage for our continuing work. Thank you so much. All right, I think that what we're left with is Mama Abena, otherwise known as Mama Davis. All right, I think she may have had to step away. I want to say that I appreciate all of you. I appreciate you for trusting us with your children and your grandchildren. It is not something that we take for granted, and we do the best we can. But we really appreciate your coming tonight, and you're continuing to come to learn about WHB and how that is the foundation of our academic work. Appreciate y'all. And I appreciate Mama Fia. She's not here, but she's always here, because without her, and other staff, but particularly without our wife and warrior partner, sister of 30 years, none of this would happen. So even in her absence, she's always present. All right, folks, take care.
Peace.
Peace.